Okay, so we could just hop into it, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to do an interview with you that was going to be more of a biography, because I think I met you when you were like 13. Is that correct?
Maybe 12 in China.
12?
Yeah.
Oh, you were 12 then?
Probably, yeah.
So we were in Chengdu in China. And yeah, you were like this little kid from Mexico that I met. And here we are now. I've known you for so long. How did you first start getting into gaming as a kid?
So I used to play, I don't know if you know the cards Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to play that in a convention center, and there was a lot of stuff in there. There was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card store, there was a LAN center, and a bunch of stuff over there. So I was playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! like a lot, spending a lot of money, and I was pretty good. But then, I don't know, like the LAN center was literally next to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Store.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like, when I was in Kansas, there was a comic book store that had like 8 computers, and then there was tabletop games and card games. Was that the kind of place you were going to?
It was a different stores. They were literally across to each other, really close.
Oh, okay.
So we would play like in the middle of both stores. We would play Yu-Gi-Oh! And then one day I entered that building with my friend, and there were so many people playing Brood War. So many. They were playing fastest map possible. And then I started playing, and eventually I started playing more StarCraft than Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically.
And you didn't have a computer in your house? I think you're the first person I've met that is talking about going to a LAN center that is not Korean to learn about StarCraft.
I did have a computer, but it was not mine. I think it was my mom's, and I didn't use it. But after that, she bought me a computer, like sometime afterwards.
So was it expensive to go to that LAN center? I know a lot of those in North America went out of business because they couldn't make money, or they'd have to charge so much money that like there was nobody would ever go and stay there for too long.
Well, I was a little kid, so I think she would get. The thing is, like, I don't remember exactly the numbers, but I don't think it was that expensive, especially because it's Mexico. It's not as expensive as the U.S., for example. But it's not like I will go every day as well, because my mom will drive me and pick me up, you know? So it was like 2 or 3 times a week.
What was school like for you as a kid? Were you a good student, or were you a degenerate?
No. So as a little kid, I was, believe it or not, I was really athletic and really, really good at sports. I was in the football, soccer. We call it football in real countries.
In the rest of the world, yeah.
I was like one of the best of the team, and we had a basketball team, a football team, a swimming team. I was bad at swimming. We have a running team. I was really good at running as well. A volleyball team. We had everything.
Yeah.
My school was the biggest one, not the biggest one, the highest quality school in the whole city. So we had like everything, and I was pretty good at that. But no, I was a normal kid that liked to play sports more than study.
What did your mom think when you were getting better and better at games? Because at some point in time, actually, let me go back a second here. When did you first start to actually compete? Because I met you in China when you were 12.
Yeah, compete. Okay, the thing is, like, I started playing StarCraft, right? And then I got my own computer, and then I started playing online. I think it was back when PJ Tour was out, and then IC Cup afterwards. But the thing is I never had friends at all. Like, I used to play, right? And then one day, I don't know if do you know Dino? You remember Dino? Or no?
Yeah, I met Dino, actually.
Yeah.
He's a player from California.
Yeah, Protoss player.
Who I think actually was a hacker.
Yeah.
Because I went to his house. I stayed at his house. I think I did a tournament in like Hollywood. And then I went and stayed at his house for like a day or two afterwards, and I watched him play. And like when I would play against him, he beat me a lot. And then when I'd watch him play, his macro was just shit. And his decision making was really bad, and I was really confused because I was just watching this guy being like, how does this guy always beat me?
Yeah.
I think he was nice guy. But so you were friends with him?
So I met Dino, and then Dino introduced me to there was the West server, the East server, Asia, blah blah blah. So he introduced me to the Koreans on the West server, and then I joined some Korean clans. But then I just kept playing by myself, and no one knew about me until like WCG, I think. I was like 11 or something. and I show up and I won WCG Mexico.
Who are the other players at WCG Mexico?
There was this guy called. I mean, we had a lot of players in Brood War, but I don't remember exactly their name. But I remember someone named Stratos, and
That's right, Stratos.
there was this Protoss guy that went to like every single WCG, and I forgot his name.
Okay. It's not Zealot Aito. He's Spanish, actually.
No.
Anyways, so you won that.
He would go to every WCG, and then a little 11 guy show up, and I beat everyone. I think I swept the finals or something like that. And then who is this guy? And that's.
Were people surprised? Were people shocked?
Like they knew who I was, but they didn't think I could win because I didn't play with them. I used to play on IC Cup or in West.
Did you have to have your mom there?
Did
you go to the tournament alone?
I think I went with a friend.
Damn.
Yeah. No, I don't remember who I went. Maybe my mom was there.
Yeah, that's really long ago. Like I don't know if I have many memories from when I'm 11, but
yeah, it was really long. But I went there. It was in my city, so I won.
It was in Guadalajara. Yeah,
Guadalajara. So there was like the regionals per city, and we happened to have the grand final also in my city, I think. So I didn't even have to travel. So I won that again, and then that was the grand final, right? I won the regional first, and I won the grand finals, and then I won the trip to China, right? It was in Chengdu.
Yeah, and that's where I met you. Like, did you get to travel much before that?
Yes. Well, my mom is a travel agent, so we would go a lot to like the U.S. for mostly to the California to the Disneyland, obviously. So I went like 4 times there.
Okay.
And Cancun.
Oh yeah, Cancun I've heard is great.
Those were the places that I went most as a kid.
But never in Asia then, right?
No, not at that age. No.
So what was your mom thinking when you come home and tell her that you're going to be going to China now?
Well, maybe she was there. So I don't know. Because maybe she was at the tournament, right? But
right.
Yeah,
so you this whole memory is kind of blurry for you.
Yeah, but she said, at first I don't know if she agreed that I had to go, because obviously she wasn't going to go, right? Nowadays, if a kid qualifies, the tournament will pay for like the family to come over. Back then, no.
Yeah.
It was just the only player. I think at the end of the day, since my mom is a travel agent, she ended up organizing everyone's flight from Mexico, you know? Because it was so many players.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So she ended up like organizing all the travel and all the logistics for all the players.
Was that scary for you to go to China? I mean, China's a really different place from anything that's in North America.
Well, I was with the fighting guys. They were playing. I don't remember but they were fighting players from Mexico, and they took care of me, so it was okay. I didn't. It was not bad for me.
And then, what was your travel experience like after that? Did you get to go to many overseas events? Because at that time, I mean, this is around right when Dan and me had moved to Korea.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, now there's esports events like every day, right? And I mean, obviously there's nothing happening internationally with coronavirus, but in the normal times, it's like there's tournaments every month or every week, and there's online cups and all this stuff. But back then, WCG was like the big global tournament for people like us.
Yeah, it was like the only tournament that we had, right?
Yeah, the only big one, yeah.
Or maybe like TSL, I guess, that happened randomly, and I guess that's it. But I don't know. I honestly just went to WCG, and after that, I don't think I went to another Brood War WCG. I think I only went to one. And then StarCraft 2 came out or something. I don't know how.
So, let me think here. That must have been, so you were 11 then, or 12 then when I met you.
I won Mexico at 11, I think.
And I think StarCraft 2 then came out like 2 years later, so you'd be 13 or 14.
Yeah, something like that. Wait, when it came out? 10 years ago. So
it's 10 years. Actually, like I think basically today is the 10-year anniversary of it. So
2010.
It'd be 2010, yeah.
Yeah, it would be like 16, I guess.
Okay. So, did you go right into being a pro for StarCraft 2?
I was still playing Brood War. Like even before the game came out, I was close to coming to Korea to play Brood War, actually. I don't know if you remember with Artosis, he was in the Easter House or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And I played test games, and I beat one of the Protoss players, and I lost to a Zerg player. And then I was going to play more test games, but then Brood War came out. Not Brood War, sorry. StarCraft 2 came out, and then that kind of died. So that killed my motivation, right? So I just stopped playing.
Yeah, it was a weird time, actually, because, like, anytime there's a new game that comes out and there's an old established game, there's always like this earthquake.
Yeah.
With inside like the scene. This happened to Smash Brothers like a couple times already, but and we've seen it with Street Fighter V after it came out after Street Fighter 4. But like all the pros have to figure out, okay, do I want to go to where the money is, or is this game just a trend that's going to go away in a year or two? And so it seems like you wanted to stay with Brood War then, with StarCraft 1.
Well, it was what I know and what I already saw. I watched like Pro League on TV and stuff like that. So I didn't know anything about StarCraft 2. I didn't play StarCraft 2 for like 6 or 7 months. But most people from Mexico that were Brood War players kind of switched. And I knew this guy that was my friend that also played Brood War a lot, and he was pretty good Terran, but he switched to StarCraft 2. And then like 6 or 7 months later, you should come play. I think you're going to be good at this game, because he knew I was still good at Brood War. I was still playing Brood War and other games, I used to play an MMO actually.
MMOs?
Yeah, it was called Tibia. I don't know if you know.
What is it?
It's a huge game in Mexico, Poland, Germany.
Wait,
Brazil.
what's the game's name again?
Tibia.
Tibia?
Yeah.
I don't know it.
It's
I
so
feel
good.
like I should look it up on my phone.
It's really good, but
How do you spell it?
like the bone tibia, the same. Tibia. Tibia.
I don't know this at all, but this is big. Oh, I think I do recognize this. Okay.
Yeah, I used to play that a lot. Like even during the StarCraft 2 days, I would play that also. But as I said, I was not playing. I didn't play StarCraft 2, and then I started playing StarCraft 2, and then after a week, I think I become like top 3 GM on. Well, there was no GM back then, but top 3 on the NA ladder in like a week of start playing StarCraft.
Was it an easy switch then?
It was pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of.
Like there was because I play on my friend's account. It was not even my account. They gave me an account. This guy was like a top 150 or something, and then in a week he jumped to like top 10. Like he has to be hacking.
Yeah,
They thought I was hacking. So it reminded me everything from my Brood War days. Because I remember when I entered Brood War, they said this guy is hacking.
Yeah.
You remember that, no?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, well, everybody was accusing everybody of hacking back then. Yeah. I was actually shocked when they had the tools that came out that proved that people were hacking, because I never thought anybody was hacking. Yeah. I just thought there's no way anybody would bother to hack in an old computer game.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, and it was. So yeah, people thought you were hacking because you were doing that. When StarCraft 2 first came out, was there? I know this happens with a lot of people where they're loyal to StarCraft 1. And I saw the reverse happen when StarCraft Remastered came out, where all these StarCraft 2 people were like, no, like we can't go back. And, you're somebody from both worlds, right? You're an excellent StarCraft 1 player and obviously a very accomplished StarCraft 2 player. But because the game was mechanically different, StarCraft 2 that is, were you reluctant to want to switch? Were there things about the game you didn't like because you'd spent so much time playing Brood War?
Well, I think I was lucky enough that since I didn't play the first 6 months or whatever, that's when it was the worst, right? That it was like a bunch of one-base builds and stuff like that. Because I remember watching the GSL, like the first, like it was so bad. Like,
the games are terrible.
It was awful.
I mean, there were these guys that were like just two basing off barracks or one basing off barracks and just trying to stem and run up the ramp. And like sometimes the guy force fielded it and then other times he missed it.
Yeah. So I skipped all that part because everything like that died during 6 to 7 months. So at my time, there was like already 2 base builds, kind of. So I guess that helped a lot into not really notice the difference that much. So I really didn't care. The only thing I really cared about was how easy it was to macro.
Yeah, I had reservations about that when the game came out. I always felt like that kind of was the game.
Yeah, but
was clicking on all the different
nowadays, like now, 2020. It would be impossible to play StarCraft 2 maybe without that. It would be too hard, I think.
You think so? You think it wouldn't just be a different game?
Yeah, it would be a different game, but the thing is, like, in StarCraft 2, your units die so much faster than in Brood War, right?
Right, that they die really fast.
So if you don't pay attention for 1 second, they're going to die. Now it's hard. Imagine with like having to go back to your base and click all. It will be...
Yeah. Did you have reservations about the fact that you could select everything? Was that weird for you?
Yeah, I thought it was bad. But then afterwards, it kind of just the game evolved, and it just showed that doing that is not even good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never a good move to just have all your hot army on one hotkey.
Like at the beginning, it was we all thought, oh my god, this is terrible. It's so easy, blah blah blah. But nowadays, StarCraft 2 is very hard to play at a high level because having everything on one hotkey is just bad. For example.
Yeah. When you switched over and you started to dominate, did you then try to set your sights on coming back to Korea? Was that the initial plan then to just kind of restart this?
Yeah.
You've been in Korea 3 separate times, right?
Now, let me think. TSL. I was here once when I got invited to the TSL house, with,
Right.
and then the GOM house, and then the A-team house, and then I would say, I've been to like 6 different houses, but like in periods of time, I would say like 4 times actually.
4 times.
Yeah.
And then the first time you came was when?
Before BlizzCon 2011 or 12 or something like that.
Damn. Okay.
It was really old back then. Yeah, really back.
So let's see here. How old would you have been when you first?
Well, I'm 27 right now.
Yeah.
I would have been 17, I think.
17.
Something like that, 18.
And you were basically moving to Korea.
Well, not moving. I came for like 4 or 5 months to play. No, less.
Well, yeah, but but you were here. You were staying in a foreign country for an extended period of time.
Yeah, extended for like 1 month and a half.
Was your mom excited for you with that, or was that scary for her? Was there any?
I guess it was scary at the beginning because
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, is your little kid's gonna go away to
To a place.
obscure Asian country?
At least I can speak English, right? Kind of. But I don't know. I feel Koreans are not that good at speaking English for the people that I met so far.
I feel like some Koreans are good at speaking a certain type of English. That they learned in school.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of Koreans don't have conversational English down.
Yeah, so it was hard. But I don't know. There's always Google Translator.
How did you learn English, by the way? Did you just learn it in school or
School
TV?
plus Brood War.
Okay, so just being online
And school.
Yeah, okay.
Like my school my school actually had Chinese as well.
What?
Yeah, we had yoga, Chinese. I told you it was crazy. We had swimming.
Was this like a really good private school, or was it?
Yeah, well, it was because the owner that just recently died. He was also the owner of like a really really big company, and also the owner of one of the most famous football teams in Mexico. So he was, and he always tried to make good positive stuff for his stuff. So that school was like a very high class school, as in the way that it tried to make the kid grow in every single way, not only study. So we had like a lot of stuff.
So when you came to Korea, obviously, you have a Mexican accent, right? I had never have a difficult time talking to you. I understand what you're saying. But I know for like Koreans, they're used to a very specific type of English sounding accent. Was communication really, really hard for you when you got here?
I think they understood what I was saying, but if anything, we always had a problem. There was always Google. Google never fails.
Yeah. So you guys are using like Google Translate PC, like you type it in and okay.
Yeah. So it was not the best, but since I was just this little kid staying home and watching them play and play myself, it was okay. It was not that bad.
Do you have any weird stories or situations where there was like a language barrier that had to be sorted out?
Fuck.
Or even a cultural situation. Like for me, when I came out here and I did my first like live TV show, I didn't know that like the guy who like basically hired me, who was like this important person, he right before the show went live, he said, "I'm gonna go get a coffee," and I said, "Oh, awesome! Can you grab one for me?" And I like pulled out some money and gave it to him, and apparently like there was just like this big, like this is offensive that I did this to him, because like you're not supposed to ask your superior to get you coffee in Korea. But I didn't know that. I just thought it was like, okay, well, can you have like two hands, right? Can you just like, I even gave him money, but apparently that was like very insulting, and I had no idea. It stressed me out because then I had to go live on TV. But everyone was like, you can't fucking ask him that. That's, he's your boss. And I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about. I just wanted a coffee. Is that weird? And then, but do you have any moments like that where you said the wrong thing or didn't understand what was going on?
I guess, yeah. Mostly it's about the things you say, but I don't really remember them that much as well.
Yeah.
But it would be stuff like that, yeah, I guess. Like, but that's a culture change, no?
Yeah,
More
for
than
sure.
anything. Like, other than that, not really, nothing. I'm always been like an open person, you know. So I don't really care too much about stuff, and I'm open always to learn or to change. So
What was the food like for you? I mean, Mexican food and Korean food, I feel like is pretty.
the thing that helped me, I think, is that in Mexico we eat spicy food as well, right? Well,
Yeah.
not spicy food, but we can make it spicy. And in Korea, they like spicy food a lot. So I feel like if I wasn't used to that, I would have hated my life.
Yeah.
But since since I'm kind of used to it, I think it was not bad. It was okay. Like I'm not that picky with food, honestly.
Yeah. Was kimchi weird for you? That was a shock for me when I came out here.
Actually, not.
Really? You were fine?
Yeah, because it's just like a spicy vegetable. I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
I guess that's true, yeah.
One of my favorite dishes is called druchigi.
Chige?
Druchigi.
Chiki? Okay.
It's like yeuk with kimchi jjigae mix, kind of.
Okay.
It's really good, and that has kimchi. So
Yeah.
that was back in the A-team house. We had like limited budget, so we had to go to restaurants that were not so super expensive. So it was either that or kimbap heaven, or some bad
Yeah,
place.
kimbap heaven out here is like, that's like the staple,
Yeah.
like go-to place. Like
If
it's
you
always
wanna
open
save
24
money.
hours. Yeah, you save money, get basic Korean food.
Yeah.
So you've ping-ponged basically from Korea, Mexico, Korea, Mexico, Korea, Mexico. Have you had experiences where you had to leave a team house where that was really difficult for you or really
Yeah.
sad? And because it's clear to me that you want to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Back in the A-team house, it was like we had no sponsor, right? So we had like, I think
Which team was this?
A-team.
A team. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I was thinking of A team, B team. That
No,
there's
no,
also
A-team, which
Okay.
became Junior afterwards.
Jenner. Got it.
So we had no sponsor, right? So, and they were looking for a sponsor and they couldn't find one. So they had to cut like 5 players or 6. And I was one of them. So that was really, really sad.
How did they tell you?
They told me like a month before.
Yeah.
They told me, we're going to pay you all your salary, but like all the rest of my contract or whatever it was, they pay me everything. But they say, we have to cut some players, and you're one of them.
What did you do? Did you Did you try to argue it or?
No, I understood.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I knew I'm a realistic person. I was not doing that bad, but I was not the main lineup,
Right.
We had like 6 to 7 players that were staples, and we had like 3 or 4, which I was there, that we were good, but we were not like pro league players. And then we had the trainees. Like, one example I like to give is, I don't know if you remember Pig Baby.
Pig Baby, yeah. I do remember
You
Pig
remember
Baby. Yeah.
this guy? He was in the same skill level as me. Like, we were so good, you have no idea. We were same skill level. And he also got laid off.
Yeah.
And he went and played WCS America, and he won it.
Oh, yeah.
I was so shocked.
That's so funny.
But I was shocked, but I was not surprised. I'm like you guys don't understand how much higher the skill was when all the pro league teams were around and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the training was so much better and stuff like that. Like, nowadays it's also hard, but I don't know. Back then I just feel like it was insane.
So, I mean, you had to get on an airplane and come back to where you started, basically. Was your goal to try to get back to Korea, or did you think about giving up? Because I feel like out of all the players that I know, and you've basically been doing this for not just your adult life, but like basically all through puberty and
10 years, I would say.
Yeah, 10. So, I mean, since you were 10, basically, did you had highs and lows is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you feel like giving up?
Yeah. So after that, I went back home. I was insane. Like, I was super good. Well, I was depressed because I wanted to play Pro League, right?
Right.
I would go back and I would beat everyone in the DNA or the Europe ladder, no problem. But that was not what I wanted. I wanted to play Pro League, right?
Right.
And that was like, well, you're fucked. You can't do that anymore. So I was playing, but I was not super motivated. I was playing, and that happened for like a couple of years, actually. I was playing StarCraft 2, and I was playing a lot of tibia, as I told you that.
Right.
Like a lot. I had a very expensive character that I ended up selling and stuff like that. So after that, and then fast forward, like I just kept doing that 2 years, playing a lot of tibia, playing StarCraft 2, not going to tournaments because I just wanted to play more tibia. And then in 2016, at the end of 2016, I realized that even though I was good and I could beat a lot of players, I was not the best, right? I was not even close. So I decided that I would give Korea one more chance. And that's when Jake, no regret, opened the house in Korea, right? We were back in Seoul. Fuck, I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, were you guys in Itaewon?
No,
that was his first house?
was his first.
First house was Itaewon. Okay, let me see if I can remember this. The next house was... Shillim, right?
Yeah,
okay. So Shillim is in just for the people that aren't in Korea. Jake had an original team house in the immigrant district of Seoul.
I wasn't there.
You were not there for that. And then he ended up getting a house that was in Shillim, which is southern central Seoul, basically.
Yeah. So he opened the house. I was in China for WCS.
WCS, yeah.
No.
No?
WESG. I don't know if you know that. It's
WESG, yeah.
Yeah, I was for that. And then we were talking before, like, hey, we're going to open a new house. Do you know if you want to come? And I was thinking about it and then I said, you know what? Because I know playing from Mexico, it sucks so much ass. Because you play on Europe server, but you have lag. Or you play on NA server and you play nobodies.
Yeah.
There's like, you have no choice, right? So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to give one more year a shot. And I came to Korea and I practiced very hard. I knew it was not going to be the same as the Kespa team, but I still had friends from the Kespa teams, like I still do right now and back then. So I knew, like, even if I'm going to live with a bunch of foreigners, I could apply what I know from back in 2-3 years before, what I know about how to work and how to practice. And I ended up doing that. And that's when I feel like 2017, 18, 19, and 2020, like those 4 years, it's been like my like, I would say like my resurgence, you know, like.
Yeah.
2017, no one will think I would get like top 4 at BlizzCon, you know.
I was there for that, man. That was crazy.
It was like unheard of, you know, like.
Yeah. And I think a lot of other players were overshadowing you at that time, but it was like, no, man. Yeah. No, fuck that, man.
Like,
this is
the
special time.
2017 was when Neve won like every event, you remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
The only one that was able to beat him was me. Like, I was the only one who could beat him or put him like very close to losing. And people, I don't know, but I didn't really care. I just was there and I practiced a lot in 2017, 18, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that was the best move I made in my career.
One of the things I've noticed about you is that you have, I think, a better work ethic than almost all other pros. Like, you really just, you put the hours in. Like, you grind out builds and strategies. And, I really respect that. There's some players that seem to be able to play very little and not...
Zerg players.
Zerg player? Like, where does that drive for you come from? Where, like, because it seems like you've always been like that, right? You've always just been, is this a desire to win, or is it like playing the game at a high volume? Does that soothe your mental state, or what's behind that drive?
So it's a mix of everything, actually. So one of the things that since I was little kid, I was kind of influenced by the brood war mentality of the more you play, the better you are. I don't know if that holds true now, but I think it can hurt. It can make you worse. There's no way it makes you worse. It might hold you back in other stuff, but it's not gonna make you worse. So that's what I had and then I came to Korea, and the coaching style and stuff like that, it was similar to that, to what I already knew. So as I say, I apply everything like that to my training. So yeah, I will say nowadays, I can do that. I can still do that. I can still sit there and play all day, but I don't do that anymore. I do a lot of thinking, and I just play a lot when I feel like I have an important tournament coming soon, basically.
So you were talking about kind of doing a lot of thinking, and I think a lot of people don't know this about pros. They think that they just play games all day, But can you explain to me, like, when you say you do a lot of thinking, like, what is that process like?
Okay, so the way I do it, everyone does it different, is I try to think about what's the current meta, what would be good against that, how can I exploit players' weaknesses when I know who I play, and I also like to study a lot, like, let's say there's this random online tournament. I watch it. I don't even like pay full attention. I skip it, and if I find something that's interesting, no matter what league it is, I find stuff that's really good from 6K players, which would be like amateurs basically. Like, it doesn't matter. And then I try to apply that into my game, like for example, using their build, but applying and make it a little bit better, and it ends up being good. That happens a lot actually. So that's what I do. So it's not only playing, I feel, especially with StarCraft 2, more than Broad War. Probably Broad War, you can get carried a lot more by mechanics itself.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, StarCraft 2 is moving into much...
it's still mechanically hard, but it's not as hard as Broad
Yeah,
War.
StarCraft 2 is kind of funny because it's like, it is the fastest RTS game.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
really
a phrase
fast.
I'm using more and more now.
Yeah, but it's really fast.
I mean, it was always fast, but it kind of just dawned on me where I'm like, no, this is fucking way faster than anything. Yeah, the whole game's just sped up and crazy. Do you keep like build order notebooks, or do you spend time reviewing your own VODs, or do you? I know there's all sorts of tools out there that people use. Like I've seen, I haven't seen it. I've heard of people that use eye trackers on their monitor. I mean, have you experimented with any of that?
Well, I used to try to do a notepad, but I don't know, that didn't work for me. I tried it. It didn't work for me. Like it can obviously work. It's different for every player. For example, I know Nib writes a book about everything he's writing. And
Yeah, that's how I have to do it. I have to write little
it's fine.
notes out. Yeah,
I used to live with Hurricane, and he will do that too as well. But that didn't work for me. But that's fine. Not everything works for everyone.
right.
But I don't know. I just like to keep it in my mind. And sometimes if I'm having a struggle, like this matchup, for example, I don't know, I need new ideas. Sometimes I just go watch watch my old BODs or some other else old BODs and get ideas from there. Because people seem to forget about builds that can still work now.
Yeah.
They think, oh, well, doesn't work anymore. They actually still work, some of them. So you just have to find.
Do you feel like, as a pro, excuse me, do you feel like as a pro, because for the level of StarCraft 2 that you're playing at, like you're consistently in GSL Codas, you've been top 4 in the world, which would put you at that time the highest, most accomplished foreigner of the year. If you just want to get to like what WCS is about, right? That big tournament, everybody comes together and we kind of grind it out until there's only one person left. How much of your practice is simply circumventing the meta?
Okay, I would say a lot, because I'm not innovation. I'm not, even though now innovation nowadays he mixes his stuff a lot. I'm not like I'm okay mechanically, but I'm very, very good at making builds and very, very good at abusing builds and very, very good at knowing people's weaknesses. So that's what's my advantage over other players. So I would say a lot, but I also still just practice my mechanics and stuff like that. Obviously, you have no choice.
What is the best way to practice your mechanics?
I would say it's like you just sit there and grab 2 very standard build orders per matchup, and you just play the ladder. That's the easiest and fastest way to build your mechanics. Like, you don't care about if you win or lose, but you care about having like perfect.
Don't forget depots.
Don't forget the build, making the amount of units correctly every time. And don't get supply block. Try to micro well. That's how you build your mechanics. 1 or 2 builds per matchup, and just play ladder. That's how you build mechanics, basically.
There's a lot of different people that watch this podcast. There's people that have an interest in me, or there's people that are interested in esports or certain players. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to watch this episode who are Terran players of a high rank who are trying to get to where you're at. So we're talking about players who are masters or even GM. Probably a lot of them watch your stream or follow your tournament games. What do you think actually, if you were to give those people advice, like on how to get better, what are those people not doing that you're doing?
Well, it depends how much time they have, right? But if they have, let's say they have the available time, what they're probably not doing, first and foremost, they're probably getting mad at something. That's a very common thing that I see. I get mad, but I do it for fun in my stream, for example. I normally don't get that mad when I play the game. They get mad, and they also probably making the very, very, very basic mistakes that only come with experience. You know, like being able to read the game for Terran players, I feel is very important.
Right.
And not many people are able to do that as Terran, I feel. So that's why it's either if you're not able to read the game, you have to be a mechanical god like innovation, which nowadays he's obviously able to read the game very well and stuff like that. But back then, when he won everything, he was not good at reading games, but he just had better mechanics than everyone else, so he just won everything. So, but that nowadays doesn't work anymore. So I feel like thinking about the game and understanding how the game works, other races, your race, what they can do, when they can attack you, when they can't attack you, etc. That's the best, the highest, the most important thing after mechanics that you have to.
Did you ever deal with emotional issues as a player? Because I know there's two things that are incredibly common with pros. Well, not with pros, but with people that are trying to get good at the game. Is anger management.
Yeah.
And then other players have severe depression because they're not happy with where they are in the game. Did you ever, or have you ever struggled with either of those?
Well, the anger management, as I told you, I don't get mad, but I guess it was not depression, but I was just like whatever. Was when I told you before 2017, the little story, that I would say that's my lowest point, I would say. Yeah. After I get out of teammate, basically.
Yeah. What was it like for you when you got to come back to Korea finally? Was that like a big emotional healing moment for you?
Well, it was super nice because literally, I think I came back to Korea, and 3 months after, or 2 months after, there was the WCS. It was, I think, in Austin. And no one would give anything for me. Like, well, this guy, he's always doesn't go to tournaments or everything. And I just show up, and I think I got like top 4 or to the final of the tournament. I don't remember. Top 4 probably. And they were like, well, this guy normally wouldn't, he's good, but he wouldn't perform this well. So that gave me a lot of confidence to keep going. I think that was very important for me.
Kind of going back to the very beginning, like, you seem like you've just always been a competitive person. Like, you started out in Yu-Gi-Oh!, then you were going to computer cafes and playing Brood War, Tibia.
Believe it or not, it's important. I was a guild master.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay. So why do you feel like you're like that? Because most people, I think they like my take, you can tell me if you disagree, but I feel like most people like the fantasy of being good or being a top player, but they don't like the work that you have to put into it. What motivates you with that? Because it seems like you've basically never not been competitive.
Yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that. I just like to be able to beat someone at the game, I guess. I don't really... I guess it even goes back to my childhood. Every time I did something that I like, I was always pretty good at it because I put the time. So I was really good at running. I was really good at football. And I guess I wasn't that good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually. It was okay. Yeah. I was that guy that spent a lot of money. I think so. But I was pretty good at StarCraft as well. And then also sometimes I used to play Pokemon. Like,
you're into the Pokemon series too, right?
No, I didn't watch the series. I just played competitive.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was not the best.
Pokemon.
I was not the best, but I was okay. I was like there was this. Let's translate it to a StarCraft 1 ladder. So the top of the ladder was like 2K, and I was like 1.8 of the ladder, like in points. So it was okay. It was just okay, but I just played that for fun. So I always, as I say, I always just like to do what I like. I try to do it my best, I guess. That's why.
If you were not doing competitive gaming, what would you be doing?
That's a very hard question. I don't even know, man. Because I never thought about that. When I was just too focused in playing the game.
You've never thought about this, like if you...
maybe I did, but I would give you like a generic doctor or whatever, but I don't even think I want to be a doctor right now, for example. Like,
okay.
I just thought I would succeed because I would try very hard. But I actually, one thing that I really wanted to do was like be a criminalist. You know?
A criminalist? Like
Yeah.
a criminologist? Or?
Yeah. One of those police guys that.
It, like solves the complicated,
Yeah.
like Mindhunter. Did you see Mindhunter on Netflix?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen this?
No.
Oh, that's an interesting answer, though. Okay, so why would you want to be?
Well, my mom used to watch a lot of CSI and Criminal Minds and all these shows, so I guess I got it from that.
So we're here. It's 2020, and you know, obviously with COVID-19, there's like, this is just a fucking weird time. Like, this is for the people that are listening. You know, most pro gamers that are not Korean do not have visas that allow them to stay here permanently, which was never an issue before because there was always tournaments. Yeah. So like, and this is just for the people that don't know the rules of travel is you can't just stay in another country permanently. So you gotta, and you can always come back in. You just have to leave and come back in. Those are the rules, right?
It's basically everywhere, actually.
Yeah, it's like that everywhere. Yeah. And this didn't matter for pros out here because you would just fly to a tournament. You were always flying anyways.
You were not working. Like, it's illegal to work.
Yeah, but you're not working.
You're not working.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making money overseas, so they don't really.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. But yeah, now we're in this phase where everything is just stuck, and foreigners are getting pulled out of the country. And we talked about this a little bit in the previous podcast. But basically, if you're going to come into Korea from anywhere, you have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel somewhere where you can't leave the room, and then I think you have to pay $2,100 or $2 million or whatever, $2,100. I don't know what it is in won right now, but and then you can come back out and be around here. And if you're Mexican or American, our visa period is 3 months if it's a tourist visa, right? And so you're one of the last StarCraft foreigners, one of the last non-Koreans in the whole country.
Yeah, me and Scarlett.
You and Scarlett.
She gets 6 months somehow.
How the fuck do Canadians get 6 months?
Oh man, he's really jealous. I mean,
Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm an American. Like, when military bases here, I don't understand. It's so.
Yeah.
I thought we would get a better deal. Like for me, I'm here on an E6 visa, so I'm an entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment visa. I get that renewed through the company, so I'm fine. But you've been using a lawyer, right, to try to get your visa extended month by month?
Yeah.
What is that process like?
Okay, so.
Oh, actually, sorry. Just before you say, just so the viewers understand, you were supposed to be ejected from the country, and you've basically managed to push it back month by month.
Yeah.
You're trying to stay here as long as possible legally.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I was obviously supposed to leave 2 months ago. So I have a friend that is a Korean American that plays poker, that played Broadway back then. He speaks perfect Korean, which is in the same situation as me. Like, he plays poker, so he likes to live here because it's better than America, I think. Mm-hmm. So he's also very worried because, oh fuck, I can't come back. What am I gonna do? So he started looking around, and then he found that you can actually keep pushing it. You don't even need the lawyer, but the lawyer is the safest way, I think, because you can kind of yourself kind of screw it up a little bit. And
No, I would always get a lawyer for something like that.
So the way the lawyer works is you pay a fee, which is like around $120, $130, and he will do us a bunch of paperwork and send it to the immigration. You don't even have to do anything. You send the lawyer the paperwork, so it's really simple, and you get extended. So I got extended already twice. Normally twice is the maximum, but my friend got extended 3 times already. And I think they're just going to let you keep extending because, the whole corona stuff is really fucked up,
This is a mess.
It's a really mess. Like, I don't know. It's like I've been doing research, and some people say the planes are very safe, but some other people say it's not safe. So I don't know what to think about it.
Yeah, I feel like I can't get any clear information anymore.
I mean, I follow this.
Like, I remember everybody was saying that this was going to go away in the summer. Like, when it first happened, it's like, no.
It depends where you get your info from. Like, I get it from the Mexico one. There in 2006, I think we had an epidemic of influenza. I don't know if you know about that. So I followed that guy basically. he knows what he's talking about.
Okay.
He's the one that kind of deal with the whole Mexico back then. So now he doesn't deal with this one because he's retired, but he still explains what you can do. And he says the plane is okay as long as you wear the mask. But I don't know. Like, I feel like the Korean government is allowing you to extend your even if you're a foreigner, because for humanitarian reasons, I would say, right?
Oh yeah, for humanitarian reasons. Well, that would make sense if they're able to do that, because I know.
Because you're doing legal. It's not like you're just staying here for.
Yeah, no, you're just a tourist here, and you don't want to.
I don't want to die in the plane, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, man. I mean, it seems like the United States, especially, but just.
No, Mexico's pretty bad too, man.
Yeah, I see. I feel like I also find that like I can't follow news on other countries about coronavirus, because it's like I'm only getting news about America from my country, but I have no idea what's going on in other countries. Is it really bad in Mexico?
We're like top 6.
Top 6?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, it's not as bad as the US. You guys, 4 million.
We're number one, man.
Number one for everything.
That's right.
No. But it's not good. So I would rather not. Like, the mortality rate in Mexico it's big.
Is it?
Yeah. It's because it's not in Mexico. Either you have money or you don't.
Yeah.
So if you have money, you'll probably be okay. But if you don't, you're probably not okay.
So if you, let's say the worst case scenario happens and
this one get denied.
They just say, no, fuck you, Juan, you got to go back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Are you going to try to come back in to Korea and try to extend it? Or are you going to stay in Guadalajara?
I mean, me as a Mexican, I'm allowed to come back, because when this whole thing mess happened, I don't know if you remember, like,
yeah,
a bunch of countries closed the borders with Korea.
Like Canada's done that, right?
Yeah, Canada can't come back.
So no regret, Jake. Like he
can't.
He's just stuck in Canada now.
Yeah.
Even though he has this apartment out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot come back until they open it again. I don't know when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I could come back, but it would all depend if I would still have an apartment here. You know, all my life is like turned around. So
yeah,
my plan is to keep extending it as possible and renew my apartment. And then even if I pray for Mexico, just come back at some point. That is even a little less bad, or that the quarantine system is a little bit better, because I heard some stories.
It's bad.
The state when going
there.
Yeah,
with state. Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you get stuck in quarantine, we'll probably have to send you a package with food and stuff.
Don't let me die.
I won't let you die.
I mean,
don't worry, Juan.
Because I heard his story. I mean, if the quality was good, I wouldn't mind it.
Apparently, the food quality they give you in the quarantine is just a disaster.
Not even that, like the internet and all that. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
But I would consider it. Like, I would say, like, hey, you know, it's much better to be here than in Mexico for every reason. My life, I would probably. So I hope that what would end up happening is I will extend it as much as possible. Then at one point I obviously have to leave, because you can't just stay here unless they keep doing humanitarian reasons. I don't know. I just hope.
Yeah.
And then renew my apartment, stuff like that, because my apartment ends in November. So.
And you're living with Armani.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, it's a little hard.
Yeah, man. Everything sucks right now. When do you think, if you had to predict, and I know, I mean, this pandemic's basically going to be the craziest thing everybody who's alive watching this has lived through. When do you think there's going to be
a vaccine?
Maybe not even a vaccine. When are things going to be back to normal?
After a vaccine. And from what I heard from the experts, this is what they say. They say there's most likely going to be a vaccine this year, but the problem is not getting the vaccine. The problem is getting the distribution of vaccine. Like, distribute like how many billion people there is on the planet, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's going to take longer, even longer. So his prediction is like at least one more year.
So all
like
of
in the best case scenario.
Best case scenario. It's crazy, man. Yeah, and we don't. I mean, the best case scenario sometimes doesn't happen too.
Yeah, I mean, that's his prediction, but that's a lot of experts' prediction, you know.
Yeah.
It's not what I say; it's what I hear from the expert.
Right. Man.
So, yeah. Imagine, I don't know, man.
It's a very weird time. You've been doing a lot of streaming.
Yeah.
I know, like all pros, you were streaming from time to time, but now it's pretty regular, right?
Yeah. It's pretty regular. It's a great income way, man.
Yeah, I'm doing it too now. I'm loving it.
Why not?
Well, there's no tournaments for me to go to.
Well, even if there is, look at parting.
Now that I'm doing it, I think, man, I could have started this a little bit earlier, but
Yeah,
Twitch seems like it's going to save everybody as far as gaming goes, man.
it is, at least me.
Well, hopefully through this podcast, maybe we'll get some more people to go to your Twitch channel. What is your Twitch channel exactly?
Okay, it's SpeCial_. So twitch.tv/SpeCial_.
Okay, people want to support you.
Subscribe.
Then go there. Subscribe. Send them some money. Thank you so much for doing this. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, or is there anything you wanted to ask me or before we wrap this up?
Well, I know you for so long, and you told me, could you please come? And I say, of course I will come anytime. And I'm here, so thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man.
And yeah, it was great, and I hope everyone likes this little, I would call it like more like an interview, right?
Yeah.
Like this little interview. So yeah, and I hope everything goes well for me in the next future and for everyone else.
Good luck with that, man. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to that episode of the podcast. We're going to be back in 2 weeks unless there's some crazy hiccup or interruption. I've already talked to our guests as well. I'm really excited to continue onward doing this podcast. You know, my life's really changed a lot since the coronavirus outbreak, not doing events, but it's allowed me to focus in on stuff like making this podcast and streaming as well. So again, just like I said at the start of the show, if this podcast is something you really enjoy, if it's something that you want to support, the best way to do that is to go to patreon.com/Tasteless Podcast. And if you have extra money, throw some our way. It's really appreciated, and it goes to make ends split here for the production of the show. That's all the time we have, guys. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you guys on Sunday. I'll be streaming tomorrow afternoon around 1 p.m. onward, Sunday KST. I'll also stream Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday will be a birthday stream, all of them around the same time. Take care, guys. Love you. Bye-bye. This podcast was produced by State, artwork by Alarise, music by Mark Lentz. Special thanks to our top Patreon supporters, Seth N., Rohit Sambadi, and Charlie Sheaver. I love you guys. Stay safe, wash your hands, and wear a mask. Bye-bye.